Welcome to The Secrets of Success. By following the proven techniques of the guests who appear on this series, you'll learn that even successful people run into detours and failures, and how you can apply their success techniques to change your life.
You're now listening to the most unique show on radio, the show dedicated to making you a success. Want to grow your business? Maybe our guest, Sarah Dawn, can help. Sarah, welcome to The Secrets of Success.
Hi, Bill. Thank you so much for having me today.
Now, we're talking to you, but you're one of those people most people don't like. You have that name attorney after your name. How come we're talking to you about business?
You know, I get that a lot. I'm married to an engineer. And so when the attorney and my husband engineer walks into any room, we get the, we get the cringe. I say, I'm not that kind of attorney.
What made you switch? So what I'm really getting at is, what brought you over from, most people think, oh, you're an attorney, you like to yell at judges and the defendants and the prosecutors and make motions. What brought you over from the attorney world to the business world?
Right. You know, I caught myself in so many times in my role as an attorney helping small businesses doing, 10% of here's your LLC documents, here's the contracts you need, let's talk about the legal stuff. And then my heart would burst, my energy would lift, then talking to them about what do you really want to achieve in your business? What do you love about this? Where do you want to take this? And so when I fully burnt myself out on being an attorney, I had to look at what I achieved, what I had accomplished, and what I really wanted, what I loved out of what I did. And that's where I am now in helping businesses, because that's the piece of it that I've always loved so much.
And I know from going through your background a bit, you had a difficult start in life. It wasn't easy. Let's put it that way. The home life and getting to be an attorney, first of all, and then moving in the other direction. Do you want to tell us a little bit about that?
Right. The getting there was tough for me. We all have our path and our challenges that we went through. Mine happened to be, living in poverty. We had addiction and abuse in my household. I didn't really have mentors or people to look up to and see, hey, I want to be like them. I want to achieve that. And it was really rough, but I had this spunk as a little girl that I did look at that situation and say, I want anything but this. I've got to create something better for myself. And I also was a pretty argumentative little girl. And I would hear people say,
also had, if I recall, too, a kind of a severe disease in there, right? There was an illness?
As that got into my adulthood, that was kind of brought in through the intensity that I approached my life with.
So you're a success, but you've overcome a lot of hurdles. And I know a lot of members of our audience are facing that in some way today, especially through the pandemic and anything else that they might be going through, changes in their jobs, just changes in the way they do their job. So many things are hitting us all at once. And I love the way you talk about what you do. You talk about business growth and personal fulfillment. And that's so important because if you have one, everything's out of balance without the other. It's like the seesaw that one end is way up in the air, but the other poor guy is way down on the bottom.
Those scales of justice come back, right?
There you go. Perfect analogy. Okay. When did you know entrepreneurship was there? Did the light go on one day in court, or did you say, I've had it with other lawyers, or I'm just burnt out?
All of the above.
Okay.
Yes, sir. I would find myself having a hard time within organizations moving up because my ambitions were so big. And so, you sit there with your supervisor and they say, tell me your 3-year goal, or tell me where you see yourself in 5 years. And when I would say, I see myself creating this and building this and helping other people achieve these goals, supervisors and organizations kind of go, whoa, put the brakes. We were hoping you would say you would move up, one level in our preset, preset ladder.
Exactly, the corporate ladder.
Yeah. And I saw it, I always worked for small organizations, but I saw it going over very poorly, how ambitious I was. And how creative I was in the things I wanted to create. And when a old law school friend approached me to say, why don't we just start our own thing? I was like, heck yeah, let's do it.
And one of the things that I'd like our audience to see too, a lot of us start out to be an accountant because our mom or dad was an accountant, or our uncle, or we had a great image of them, or the accountant down the block drove the fanciest car and we thought he or she was the rich person in the neighborhood. But if we're not happy, the great thing is we can change. And we have someone like you as a leader, mentor, someone to follow. So I'm hoping many members of our audience might say, wait, this is what I've been looking for. Sarah's going to give me the freedom to break that chain. I can still be an accountant, but I can do other things. I can be a doctor. I can be a lawyer. I can be a dentist. Really anything I want.
You know, Bill, you touched on something really important there, because I'll admit that I had my own fears too. When I decided that traditional law practice isn't what made me happy and it was burning me out, and I wanted to go on and consult with businesses and help business owners grow their business, I had fear too on making that change. I had that uncle that said, well, you're letting that law degree all go to waste. I had fear that people would look at me and say, well, she must not have been a successful attorney. That must be why she changed. And so change is scary. And we have this weird view of waste, that what we've done before, if we don't keep doing the same thing, we've somehow wasted those experiences. When the most beautiful thing is to take those experiences and grow on them in new, unique ways and turn it into something we really love, even if it looks really different down the road.
And I know from reading your blog, one of the things you mentioned is sometimes we get our best ideas, and I know from other people in the show this is true, and it's proven scientifically, in the shower.
They flow down onto
See, I read it,
right?
and I want you to know that. And I'm saying this is just what we're hearing from our guests. So it's not odd if someone tonight or tomorrow or next week is taking a shower and says, I'm thinking about that Sarah Dawn person who's on the show, and why don't I try this, that, or the other thing? You may be the stepping stool for us and leading us out. Now, when you saw burnout in your own life, what were some of the signs that you saw?
The early signs that I should have seen were just the behaviors, the never turning business off, thinking that because my business was mine, it meant it needed to consume every aspect of my life. The symptoms that turned into over years was chronic pneumonia. And I would, these things, it would be nice if I looked at them and go, oh, wow, I need to slow down. That wasn't me. I remember telling people, well, they call it walking pneumonia for a reason. I can still get up and do all the things I need to do. For me, it was hormone issues, just this constant new illnesses coming up. And I didn't listen to my body. I kept going hard. I kept showing up more than 100%. And I was proud of that. When other people would observe that and say, girl, you got to slow down, I wore that as a badge of honor of I can do more than this other person could do. And I felt like I had to do that to earn my worth within my own organization. And finally, I think our bodies are really, really smart. Finally, my body said, how are we going to stop this lady that is the face of her company? And my body shut my face down. I was afflicted with a sudden onset of Bell's palsy, which is a paralysis of half of your face. Mid-afternoon on a Friday, joking around with my law partner, and half of my face just dropped. And it was scary. I thought I had had a stroke. And for a woman in her mid-30s, I had to realize that's weird to think that having a stroke would be a normal thing for me.
It's scaring me just listening to it. And yet I know just what you're saying, because the lawyer who works 2,000 hours, a year, when they total up their timesheets, someone else says, that's all you worked. I worked 2,200 hours, 24. Right. And of course, that means that's 10, 12, 14 hours a day. They have no weekends, no life. And that vacation that was planned is often changed at the last minute. And I'm sure it's in other professions too. The accountants who work all through tax season, and doctors who work through emergencies, many of our doctors through this pandemic, and nurses and medical professionals. So there's probably a lot of people that you're going to be a role model for that you may not even know it, just hearing you today and reading your blog and your podcast, etc.
Yeah, and I want to, go ahead.
No, sorry, just before we get into anything else, I want our audience to know if they're just tuning in, they're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan, but the important person today is our guest, Sarah Dawn. She's telling you about growing your business. And Sarah, if people want to find out more, can you tell us your website and a little bit about your podcast, where they could find that out?
Yeah, Bill, everything can be reached through links on my website. It is www.sarahdawnconsulting.com. My podcast is the Blissed Biz podcast, where we talk about strategically growing your business to serve a lifestyle that you really love.
And we'll ask you that again later. So if someone wants to get that down, as I did, just quickly writing it down, I know I took notes. So I was looking at it the last few days and saying, this is some really good stuff. And sometimes we need something just to knock us out of our zone and wake us up a little bit, like that shower or those great ideas we get in the shower. So we'll fill you people in and where they can get in touch and find out more about your teachings. Sarah, you told us now for lawyers and professionals, where do other people see it? Does this happen? Have you seen it in teachers? A lot of us know a teacher. There's probably a teacher on every block in my neighborhood that somebody in the house, the husband or the wife or the daughter or the son is a teacher. Is it in teaching? Is it in religious life, etc.?
It is everywhere because it's really coming from what we believe we have to do to be successful and be valuable to whatever the work we're doing. It's not just, it's entrepreneurs for sure, but it's teachers, it's real estate agents. It's, across the country, the real estate market is so insane right now. I'm hearing it big from real estate agents. It's CPAs. It's anyone who wants to feel successful and fulfilled in their work, but just has this weird skew on their belief system on what it takes to be there. Because it's so funny that I hear anybody that you dare suggest they get some balance in their life says, well, you don't understand. My industry is different.
And I think you just expose them with that statement.
Every industry is unique, and you don't have to kill yourself to be successful in it.
Sometimes, though, we do feel that whatever we do have a passion for. So now you have a pulling both ways. The accountant loves working with numbers, most of them, and they like to bring pictures together through numbers. The artist obviously does it through whatever art form they have in colors. Mm-hmm. Does it have to be a physical manifestation that we're not sleeping well or we're starting to drink or take drugs? Is that what kind of tells us we're in the wrong place?
For some people, for sure. And sleep, I think sleep is across the board. Other people, we each have our vices. And sometimes it feels like a healthy thing. Maybe we were working out too much. Maybe we're, obsessing over the food we eat too much. Anything that takes the joy out and has you just going so intense into your behavior patterns that it feels anxiety provoking and panicky that I have to do this stuff to be successful. That's when you know it's a problem. But sleep, that's across the board. That's what every one of our bodies needs. We are designed machines that we have to recharge every night. And if you're not doing that, it's more than an uphill battle. It's pretty much impossible to get yourself back in balance. I want to be intentional. Oh, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. I was going to say, and I wanted our audience to know, in case they didn't catch the beginning of the show, when you work with clients, you work with them for business growth and personal fulfillment. And we talked about that. And I said, I think that's so important because you can beat yourself and work 20 hours a day. But if you lose your marriage, if you lose your children, your family, your life, if you turn to drugs or drink, you haven't won the game. You actually lost it and you're worse than most others because they're going to work and they're relatively happy. When you work with someone, how do you kind of get them into the transition or to recognize that and either slow down or move their business to the right, the left, or in some different direction.
Yeah, I think you and I were about to go in the exact same place, because I want to be intentional to tell anybody that is listening and wants to take this advice, and I start out anybody I work with, I am not trying to tell you to do less and achieve less. You actually get to achieve more when your cup is full first, when your energy is full, when you feel good about what you're doing. So we're not saying, hey, you know what? You're just going to quit doing all the things. That doesn't make high achieving people feel good. We like accomplishing a lot of things, but it's looking at our whole plate of responsibilities and saying, which of these make me feel really good? Which of these do I not procrastinate on? Procrastination is such a valuable tool to look at. We have all these things that we say, how do I quit procrastinating? Keep procrastinating. You need that information to know, what do you not like? What do you keep pushing off? Look at what you love. Keep that on your plate. Take what you catch yourself procrastinating on, the tasks that you find yourself resentful about having to do regularly, and let's get some automation tools to have tech handle those for us. There are the most amazing, cheap automation tools that didn't exist even 10 years ago when I started my business that can make your work so much easier. What can you delegate and have someone else on your team handle that's their skill set, not yours? You don't need to be the jack of all trades. You need to be the expert at your gift. The other things need to happen, but let tech or other people do the other things.
Now, Sarah, when you work with clients, do you work with them 1 hour a week? Do they go to you like the doctor when they need a little fix or a tooth repair, or the car mechanic, auto mechanic? Or is it a weekly 9 to 9:30 every Monday to get them revved up, or Friday afternoon, et cetera, et cetera?
We're doing bi-weekly. So yes, if you come to me just every time there's a problem, we're just going to always be problem spotting. And the solution, the long-term solutions that make you really love your work will be hard to come when it's just symptomatic. My clients, we work together and meet every other week. We set consumable, actionable goals on moving towards their big goal that they can actually take action on. They reach out to me frequently throughout that 2-week period and say, all right, and I know we set this goal, but I'm struggling with it. So we have some in-between communication, but every other week we're setting those goals, achieving them, and chipping away at the problems and growing the things that they really love. And that's where they see the long-term success, is by keeping the goals small and actionable, but consistently moving towards them.
You're like the doctor who practices preventative medicine.
Yes.
You don't wait for the crash. You want to get them along the way. And if they're getting off the diet or the exercise program or whatever it's going to take to bring a recovery from a particular injury or illness, you want to prevent the problem from reoccurring.
Yes. And I have to tell you that since my health crash in burning out, I approach my own life that way too. Those are the doctors I see versus the symptomatic ones.
Well, it's the best having someone like you, because you've been there. You've gone through that.
Yeah, for sure.
And you know what it's going to look like. And who better than a particular doctor who's had the injury that we've had, because he or she knows how we're suffering or the reactions we'll have to the pain or the medication. I think it was one of your blogs that we have 3 big beliefs that we disguise as truths. And is that about work, or is that about life, or can you reveal those?
Yes. I know the blog you're looking at. I may have to cheat and have you remind me which ones, but those apply to work and life. And remind me what they are. I can look at them because I wrote that a while ago. But
I didn't know it. I'm sorry to catch you off balance. I didn't know that. I thought what you were going to talk about is just as you said, we love our work. And that means we have to keep sitting there and keep doing it. And I think you've mentioned that before. And that doesn't mean we have to overdo it, though. The lawyer, the doctor, the accountant, maybe 60 hours a week is too much. Maybe for someone else, 42 hours a week is too much. And there's the person who can work 70 hours a week, and they're pretty content content with it, and they've been doing that for years, and that's their life. So I think we convince ourselves that everybody says you have to work a 6-day week and part of Sunday, and we do it.
Yeah. And it's that, as we had talked about before, it's that belief that we can't make a change because things have to be the same way. We have beliefs that because a mentor, somebody that we really respected a lot, handled business and were successful in a certain way, we have to do it again the exact same way that they did it. And I'll say the belief I ran into was that I wasn't valuable to the company I was building unless I gave everything I had and then some.
And unfortunately, that's a lot of law offices, I think, today. And as you said, you give everything you have and then some, and they say, why not a little more?
How about that's all?
And that's all. And your life, I just saw a biography of a famous sports athlete, and he said he's lost his family, he's lost most things, but he wanted to be number one in his field. He wanted to be known. Now he's very famous, but there are missing pieces to his life, and he recognizes it, and he admits it to everyone. Sarah, before we go any further, I'd like to let our audience know once again that if you're just tuning in, you're listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan. Our guest today is Sarah Dawn. She is a success coach. She's telling you how she changed her life. And Sarah, if people want to learn more from your experiences, could you tell us where we can go, how we can find out more?
Yeah, it links to everywhere I am, including my social media, and my podcasts are on my website, www.sarahdawnconsulting.com. And my podcast is the Bliss Biz podcast, where we talk about growing your business intentionally and strategically aligned with a lifestyle that you love.
And you said the podcast, and the word is Blissed, BLISSED?
Yes.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure for our audience, because they might think you're talking about a business biz type thing, but it's Bliss,
Bliss
podcast.
Biz podcast. Yes.
There we go.
Yes.
Now, Sarah, tell us, you talk about the zone of genius and the comfort zone that we hear about. What are they, and how does that relate to what you do?
Your zone of genius is that work that lights you up. Like you were talking about, Bill, we do the work that we're passionate about. That's your zone of genius. It's the thing that you do that at the end of your workday, if you were to spend 8 hours doing this thing or these group of things, you would feel more energized, not depleted. That's your zone of genius. That's your passion. And then our comfort zone is the cozy place that we stay within, whether it's working 80 hours a week because that's what makes us feel successful, or just not making changes when things aren't working for us. Your zone of genius is where you'll make the most money. And when we're doing that exercise I was talking about earlier on the show with deciding what to keep on your plate and what to automate and delegate out, zone of genius stuff is what you want to keep on your plate.
When we get outside our comfort zone, and I'm talking now about adults, 22, 39, 57, are there things we should watch out for, or that traditionally it's going to happen? Just like a doctor warns us, after 2 days, you might have a few headaches. Don't worry, they'll subside, and then you're going to feel better. Are there things you notice for people that as you're getting them outside the comfort zone, you kind of have to warn them, this is coming up?
You're going to feel this way. This is normal. Yes. And I think headaches is one of them. When you're getting outside of your comfort zone, first thing is it's going to feel scary. And especially in people that are doing kind of more of the, I'll call it woo-woo spiritual work. What I'll hear people say is, this doesn't feel aligning. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't feel aligned with it. Just because you feel a little flutter in your belly doesn't mean it's not aligning. That's getting outside of your comfort zone. That means you're trying new things. This is good. This is not bad. It may feel like you're about to, jump off the bridge or jump off the cliff, jump out of the plane on the skydiving. It means you're about to have a really fun adventure. It doesn't mean anything is wrong. The next step is that imposter syndrome. Who am I to be doing this thing? maybe I'm not good enough to do this. I should probably go back to that thing that I've done for the last 10 years because I know I'm good at that. Let's go backwards because maybe I'm probably not good enough.
And that's called imposter syndrome. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's interesting because I think we all probably touch on a few people like that. We may not have known how to designate them or what label to put on them, but they get to a certain level and they feel they're an imposter and they drop right back.
Yeah. Yeah. That also feels scary. It's normal. You are not an imposter. If you have a gift to give this world, you can give it. We can all find a dozen people that are better than us for whatever reason. We will have thousands of people, though, that don't resonate with that other person, that resonates with you and needs you to be the one leading them, needs you to be the one guiding them on whatever your topic is.
Sarah, can you tell us any things that a business owner should not do as we wrap up our show? We have about another minute. Things that you would say stay away from or warning people that just, as you would driving down the street, there's potholes, etc.
Yeah, I think the big warning is be conscientious of how your work is impacting the rest of your life. Never, ever have we heard a single story of somebody at the end of their life that looked back and said, if only I worked more. They say, if only I had spent more time with my partner, if only I had had more experiences with my kids, if only I had taken that vacation and had those adventures and traveled the world, whatever it is, don't think that right now is so urgent that it's worth your health, your relationship, and your happiness. You will never give to your passion. You will never give to the people you're serving the level that you want to serve them if you have nothing for yourself.
I think that makes so much sense. And it takes hearing it from someone like yourself that we admire and a leader and someone who's been there and done that and worked with many people in that capacity for us to know we have permission to take that route and be happy in life. Sarah, I want our audience to know once again, please tell us how we can learn more about you and your blog and your podcast.
Yes, please go to the website. That's going to be your hub for all things, www.sarahdawnconsulting.com. You'll find when you go to that website, there's a free tool right there for everybody that helps you take this first exercise that I'm talking about of balancing out the work that you're doing, focusing it on that zone of genius and delegating and automating everything else out so you can grow and really love your life too.
And the podcast is called, once again?
The Blissed Biz Podcast. And you can find that on anywhere that you listen to podcasts.
And just find out more about our guest, Sarah Dawn, and you're going to grow your business and you'll enjoy it a lot more and get a lot more fulfillment out of life. Sarah, thanks so much for being with us today.
Bill, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I'd like our audience to know that you've been listening to The Secrets of Success on the voice of Nassau Community College, 90.3 WHPC. I'm Bill Horan, asking you to please join us again next week at the same time when we will continue our journey to success.